the commander of the Jewish war veterans, Commander Gary Glick is here. Gary, you're just in time. Gary, my pal, God bless you.
I told him.
So why don't you say something to Mr. Gary Glick, the commander, salute, commander of the Jewish War Veterans Association. I'm very honored. He's my pal. Please.
Yes, all right. All I can say is one thing is I'm a veteran, true and true, and that's it, basically. And we've been helping as many veterans as we can because locally, they're not being helped. So I was there yesterday, I was in Brooklyn and helping out the Jewish war veterans.
And were you teaching as well, how to be an American?
An American, yes. And they've been sending us to schools, and we've been talking to schools, and we're trying to teach them about one specific thing, being an American. And the thing is, they don't know who Francis Scott Key is. That's the sad part about it. That I've been to all these places, they don't even know what December 7th was. So that's why we keep going to the schools and telling them.
Somebody has to tell the kids.
Yes. And my main concern is what we're going to be doing is on a day of infamy, on December 7th, of all days, a person who's called Jane Fonda will be at the Westbury Music Fair. And every veteran from here to from Nassau County to Suffolk County to Westchester, etc., will be at the NYCB, and we will be marching back and forth we got help from the police department too, for that day. But since you're here and I have something that, this is something that we've been bringing to schools and also other veteran agencies, and they don't even know this poem. And this poem is, what I've done is, all the other guys have done this, is we've been bringing this out. And this was written by Charles Province, a veteran of the U.S. Army and sole and single founder of the president of George S. Patton Jr. Historical Society. He wrote this poem many years ago, which no one even knows. Who has been taking care of our country? It's the soldier, not the minister, who's given us freedom of religion. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to protest. It's the soldier, not the lawyer, who's given us the right to fair trial. It's the soldier, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. It's the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves beneath the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag, and who allows the protesters to burn the flag. Okay, what I'm going to do is give you this.
Thank you. I'm honored, my God. Thank you. God bless you, Kevin.
Oh,
Thank you. So that was Gary Glick. That was Mr. Gary Glick, the commander of the Jewish War Veterans Association. And Gary does a lot, not only for the veteran soldiers who are still with us, but he also does for the families. And I hope if you have anything you need to speak to him about, question about, please, he's there. He's very, very open to answer all your questions. Now, before we get on to the show, as you know, whenever a film historian such as I does a show such as any show, all the film historians come out of the woodwork. And my favorite film historian who comes out of the woodwork is Mr. Bob Sachi. Bob showed you stuff last time, and he always does, and this is an aspect of American film, the film industry, the film promotional aspect of the film industry, but he wants to show you more of the way the films, such as the films I'm showing today, were represented, promoted, and advertised for the American viewer to come to see in the neighborhood movie theaters. So if Mr. Bob Sachi would come up here, I would be very honored. He also gave me a great still of Louise Brooks. I'll show you that at the end of the show. Bob Sachi, ladies and gentlemen, give him a hand.
This is in my collection. This was in the theater lobby in 1941, right, John?
42.
42. And this is what was in the lobby. Lobby for Victory. On one side were lobby cards or stills, and on the other side was lobby cards and stills. And all the lobbies that played this movie, Lobby for Victory.
Do you know how rare that is, folks?
And I believe, I don't know, John could verify, I don't know if Baby Dumpling Larry Sims is alive, but I think the daughter Cookie might still be. I tried to
Really?
check
Well,
it
she
out.
was the youngest.
Yeah, I tried to check it out, but I don't know about Larry Sims. John's busy there. But this played in all the theaters. If you walked into the lobby, if anybody was around in 41, I know most of us weren't. I wasn't myself either. But sometimes they reissued it later on because it was a fabulous series. But that played around. Okay, thank you very much.
The reason why I have been successfully doing these film programs for 18 years now in Nassau County is because I'm picking the things that represent what other people don't show. Now with these films represent and gonna historically teach you, and by visual, as well as the words, of course, but they're gonna teach you and show you what was going on in America, our country at the time of World War II. But we all know about what was going on overseas, and I don't diminish that. The thing is that it isn't really said so strongly what was going on on the home front of the United States. Now, these two films that I picked, they're from the worst time America had in the World War II period. World War II was very hard. Now, from my research and my research through actual newspapers of the time prior for my speaking, I want to give you all the information, the good, the bad, and the truthful. And the truthful is, 1942 is very bad. So I came across and searched out an actual 1942 newsreel, The March of Time. Have anyone ever heard of those?
Yes.
Well, the March of Time was even stronger than a newsreel. It was like a news capsule that encapsulated what was happening and to educate the people in the theaters what was going on in other parts of the world, of the country. Now we have Blondie, a humor side to the war effort, and this is why I'm really showing this. It's the fact that the woman was very strong as a weapon against the foe. We had our males fighting the battles overseas, of course, and without them things would have been horrible. But the main thing was the home front, and the housewife was not only still raising the family, taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, but she was also out in the factories working the ammunitions, working on everything to keep America going so that the men could fight overseas and win this war. Now, Larry Schwartz, who we all know is my high school music teacher, and it comes to all my shows as pals that we've become, he told me, sir, which I wish you'd honor me to get up and say, how your mother, how as a child, your regard to the air raid sirens.
Yes. I was only 3 years old in 1942, so I was just 3. However, it had, even to this day, a very traumatic effect on my life, but it took me years and years to get over the horrible, horrible sound of the air raid, because our home in the Bronx, anybody from the Bronx?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was also 3 years old at that time.
Oh, so we're the same, okay. Anyway, we had a very long thoroughfare called White Plains Road. And I'm from that part of the Bronx, the East Bronx, and the neighborhood where I lived was Allerton Avenue, okay? Allerton Avenue, and the Allerton Avenue station of the elevated subway tracks which ran along White Plains Road was about 200 feet. It ended about 200 feet from our backyard. We lived in a private two-family home with a driveway, a nice backyard. We had a cellar door. All my childhood love of being outside with my friends, and I'd play in the driveway. I'd go into the backyard, and we even had an open lot which led out to the elevated track. So it was as if our backyard was part of the lots. I could open a gate and I'd still keep going until I would reach the railroad track, the elevated subway tracks. But the Allerton Avenue station just ended maybe 200 feet from where our backyard, from the corner of our backyard, and there was a huge siren on top. And okay, so what did I realize? I had learned that every Saturday at exactly 12 noon, for all the years of the war, right after Pearl Harbor, I mean, Pearl Harbor was December 7, 41. I wasn't even 3 yet. I turned 3 in the month of April. So I was in April of 42, I turned 3 but around that time, probably maybe late 41, all the way until 1945, I had to put up with the horrible, horrible sound of that siren because it was so horrible. It was as if it were on the roof of my house, not the roof necessarily of the station. So anyway, I had a routine. We had another station called Burke Avenue. Burke Avenue was the next station down. Allerton Avenue was my station practically in my backyard. And I remember so well a warning sign. Burke Avenue had a siren too, but it was too far away for me to be horrified. But that was a signal for me to run inside the house, hold on, my mother would grab me because it was like my body would shake. So the point I'm making is that I was truly affected by the evils, the horrors of war, just by listening to the sound of that siren. And here I am, some 70-something years later, telling you about it, remembering how traumatized I was by it, and how the war and the senses of the evils of war was inside me as a small child, right here in the United States, in the Bronx, in New York City, and I just, it took me years to get over it until the siren stopped. But from 1941 to 1945, from my age of 2.5 to 6, I had to put up with that. I had a routine, and it was just horrifying for me. So I just wanted you to know how I, as an American, a little boy, was affected by the horrors of war because of the sound of the siren.
Larry, how did your mother explain the evils of the other countries?
She would tell me that there is a war in Europe. We are being protected by soldiers, sailors, from everybody in the military. You don't have to worry, but we can feel safe because the people are helping us in Europe. She had to let me know that there were people starving in Europe, there were people dying in Europe, and I knew right then and there that we were in a country that we were at war. I learned very early, as an American growing up in the Bronx, New York, that we had to keep our fingers crossed, pray that things would work out. But as a child, believe me, I could feel the evil in this world because of that. And thank God, here December 7th is coming very soon, and we should really keep educating our students about what took place.
Yes.
We have to keep the history going, absolutely. And all I can say is I've learned a great deal. I'm very grateful for the life that I've had. I have my wife, my sons, my grandsons. I see them growing up, and I pray for them, believe me, that this country will continue its high goals for humanity. And let's just hope that things work out for the better, because I look at things in an optimistic way. And I'm very grateful to have had John as my student, and I can still see how successful he is. So, anyway.
Thank you, Larry. God bless. God bless you.
Love you.
Thank you, sir. I love you too. This is Louise Brooks in an actual 1920s publicity shot that Bob Sachi just gave me, so I can add to my still collection. And Jay Ellsworth, a very old dear friend, just gave me this, which I don't know what it is. But I want to find out what it is with all of you, so you're my witnesses if I have to sue him. Oh, ha ha, this is great. Take 3.
Watch your fingers.
You ready for your close-up, Jay? Yeah, okay. Thank you, Jay. Thank you so very much. Oh, my name's on it too. Thank you. If you turn off the light, Jackie, back there. All right. We're going to try to show this now, and I hope you all enjoy it. I hope you all learn from it. Blondie and Dagwood had a long, long, long series of comedies. They began in the comic strip in the newspaper. Dagwood was a rich, dumb guy in the comic strip initially, and Blondie was a gold digger in the initial comic strip. But things kind of changed. But this represents America and Blondie and Dagwood as the typical American family during the World War II era. And Jackie will be selling more bonds upstairs.
Oh, Mr. Carpenter, I wonder where you were. Oh, Mr. Carpenter, I have a big job for you.
John, who is John?
And I want you to send the Carpenter. A Carpenter. Ah, never mind. Oh, Mr. Carpenter, I wonder where you were. Oh, Mr. Carpenter, I have a big job for you.
The march of time